In this video, I'm reviewing the Gaja Capital IPO, and this one has no precedent. It is the first pure-play private equity firm ever to list on Indian exchanges. The issue opens August 19th at a price band of 152 to 160 rupees, raising 550 crore rupees. My read up front. The headline numbers look stunning, profit margins above 50%, but this business earns money in a way no listed Indian company has asked you to value before. And maybe that is why the gray market, which prices almost every IPO within hours, is pricing this one at exactly zero premium. Nobody knows what it is worth yet. So this review walks my usual checks in order. How this firm actually earns, why that 52% margin can mislead you, what the price really assumes, the red flags the filings disclose, and my verdict, who, if anyone, this issue is actually for. And to be clear about what this is, my analysis for education, not a recommendation, and not personalized investment advice. Decide with your own advisor and verify every number in the offer document. First, the business, and I start every review where I start this one. What am I actually being sold? Gaja is not a company that owns factories or sells products, and it is not a normal listed company either. It is a fund manager. Large outside investors, pension funds, insurers, and family offices from more than 20 countries, called limited partners, or LPs, commit money into Gaja's private equity funds. Gaja invests that money into mid-sized private Indian companies, works to improve them for 5 to 10 years, sells the stakes, and returns the profit to those LPs. Across its current funds, it manages roughly 4,300 crore rupees of other people's money. That pool is called Assets Under Management, or AUM. Think of AUM as the money placed in the firm's care. The way a caterer counts every kitchen they cook for, not just their own. 20 years of this cycle produced early bets like RBL Bank, and a fund family now raising its 5th generation. So how does the firm itself make money? Through the classic 2-and-20 model, 3 income streams, and I want you able to explain each one in household words before you go near the price. Stream 1, a management fee, roughly 2% per year on the capital it manages, paid no matter what happens. Like a building's caretaker charge, collected every year, good year or bad. This is the stable, recurring part. Stream 2, carried interest, or carry, roughly 20% of a fund's profits above a promised minimum return called the hurdle. Think of a property broker who takes a cut only when your flat actually sells above the price he promised you, no sale, no cut. So carry arrives only when investments are actually sold at a gain, and it is lumpy and unpredictable. Stream 3, income on Gaja's own money invested inside its funds, the sponsor commitment, its skin in the game, which rises and falls with fund values and can even go negative. Hold these 3 streams, my whole case turns on which one dominates. Here is the subtlety the offer document itself warns about, and it is the first thing I would test any buyer of this IPO on. Buying these shares makes you an owner of the management company, not an investor in the funds. You receive a slice of the fees and the carry, not a slice of the portfolio companies. And because no standalone private equity firm has listed in India before, there is no true precedent for pricing one. Every listed comparison you will hear, wealth managers, mutual fund houses, runs a different earnings engine. Hold that thought for my valuation chapter. Next, the offer itself, and I follow the money the way I do in every review. Gaja is raising 550 crore rupees. 450 crore is a fresh issue, new shares whose money enters the company, and 100 crore is an offer for sale, or OFS, existing shares, whose money goes to the selling promoters and shareholders. Now the fresh money. Roughly 372 crore rupees funds Gaja's own sponsor commitments to Fund 4, the proposed Fund 5, and a new secondaries fund, alongside repayment of a bridge loan. Because the fresh issue creates new shares, every older holder's percentage shrinks. That is dilution, so promoter ownership falls from about 61% to roughly 47%. But notice what they are doing. Not cashing out, the firm is putting IPO money back into its own funds. In my book, this is a growth capital IPO, not a promoter exit. That is a genuine strength, and I will say so as plainly as I flag the risks. Now the earnings, first the headline, then what I found underneath it. Revenue grew from about 96 crore rupees in financial year 24 to about 135 crore in financial year 26. Profit after tax nearly doubled over the same period, from about 45 crore to almost 80 crore. That is a profit margin of about 52%, the kind of trend that makes an IPO look irresistible. Hold that admiration for 1 minute, because my next board shows where those profits actually came from. Here is the same income split by stream. Read this board twice before you form a view. I did. The stable management fee, the caretaker charge, was 73% of income in financial year 24, under half in 25, and under 27% in the first half of 26. In rupees, that recurring fee was only about 57.5 crore in financial year 25. So what filled the gap? Carried interest, 0 in financial year 23, then more than half of income in 25, and about 63% in the first half of 26, as Fund 3 sold its investments. And sponsor income, 0 in 25 because of a fair value loss, a paper loss, marked down when fund values fell. So the profit surge you just admired is mostly carry from one exit wave, not a fee machine humming faster. Why do I lean on this so hard? Because a 52% margin built on carry is a different animal from a mutual fund house's margin built on fees. An asset management company earns a small fee on permanent capital every single year. Its earnings repeat by design. A private equity firm's carry arrives only when it sells companies at a gain. From funds that wind down by design, a PE fund is like a chit that ends. Each one closes on schedule, and the firm must raise the next. Financial year 23 already showed you the other side. No exits meant zero carry and a collapsed profit. Same firm, same skill, completely different year. Never read this margin as a run rate. One more crack under the headline. Cash. Despite record accounting profits, Gaja's operating cash flow, the cash the business actually collected from its operations, was negative in both financial year 25 and 26, minus 8.75 crore, then minus about 15 crore rupees. How can record profit sit beside negative cash? Because carry is recognized in the accounts before the money actually lands. The profit is genuine accounting, but salaries are not paid with recognized carry. This profit-cash divergence is exactly the trap I flag in every review of this kind, and for me, it is the number most worth watching after listing. The price. Run it with me, work out what the market is asked to pay for Gaja at the top of the band, and place that beside the listed money managers everyone will quote at you. Define the yardstick first. Market capitalization is the share price times all shares, about 2,256 crore rupees. That is the cost of the whole company. The price-to-earnings ratio, or PE, divides that cost by 1 year's profit in plain terms, how many years of last year's profit you are paying. 2,256 over 79.6 is roughly 28 times. Place it on the peer board. Nuvama trades near 28 to 30 times, HDFC AMC near 38 times, Anand Rathai above 74 times. First reading. Gaja is priced at or below every listed fee-earning peer on this metric. About 28 times financial year 26 earnings, apparently the cheapest name on the board. The trap. The word apparently is doing all the work. My next board shows why this comparison is a category error. Now the reading that saves you from a category error, the most transferable lesson in this review. A price-to-earnings ratio silently assumes the earnings, the E will repeat. Nuvama's earnings are wealth and broking fees that recur. HDFC AMC's earnings are fund fees on permanent capital. Even 361, the largest quoted peer, earns recurring wealth fees and trades near 40 times. Gaja's financial year 26 earnings are more than half carried interest, the broker's cut stream that was 0 3 years earlier. If you value only what reliably repeats management fees of roughly 58 to 60 crore rupees, less their share of costs, the multiple on stable earnings is far higher than 28 times. Gaja screens cheaper only because the E is not the same thing. Compare earnings quality before you compare earnings multiples. I call that metric alignment, and skipping it is how IPO buyers fool themselves. Is there a fairer metric? For asset managers, I compare the price of the firm against the money in its care. Gaja's market cap equals about 53% of its 4,276 crore rupees of AUM. Global private equity firms like Blackstone and KKR trade around 13 to 20% of theirs, approximate reference points, not exact quotes. Gaja's ratio drops to about 28% only if you also count the proposed Fund 5 and the secondaries fund, 2,500 crore and 1,150 crore rupees that are not yet raised. So read the price the way I read it, plainly. Today's band already assumes tomorrow's fundraise succeeds. The risks, and I rank them the way an analyst does by severity and specificity, not by counting pages. First, carry volatility. You have already seen the proof. A year without exits collapses the profit. Second, the fundraising treadmill. Private equity funds wind down by design, so Gaja must keep raising new ones. Fund 5 is not yet registered with SEBI, the market regulator, yet both the stated use of proceeds and the price lean on it. Third, key people. This is a 37-person firm whose track record and relationships concentrate in 3 founders. Fourth, concentration on the money side too. The top 10 LPs supply about 63% of Fund 4's commitments. Losing 1 or 2 anchors would hurt the next raise. 2 more disclosures deserve plain words. I would not let you apply without knowing them. Promoters Gopal Jain and Imran Jafar are named in a criminal first information report, a police complaint, connected to a portfolio company investment from Fund 2. The filing describes it as arising from board positions at that company, but you should know it exists before you invest, not after. Operating cash flow, as you saw, was negative 2 years running. Fund 4's agreements even allow clawback. Carry already received can be demanded back if later returns breach the hurdle conditions, the broker returning his cut if the deal sours later. And the stated plan to raise skin in the game toward 10% of fund size means the listed company's own capital rides fund performance harder. Remember, sponsor income was 0 in 25. 4 days before the issue opens, here is what the market is telling me. The gray market premium, an unofficial street quote on unlisted IPO shares. That gray market trading is unauthorized and carries no regulatory protection, so treat the number as sentiment, never evaluation, is 0 here. Trackers show no activity at all. That means no speculative froth and also no evidence of listing day demand. The anchor book, the large institutions allotted shares the day before opening, is not out until August 18th. No brokerage had published a rating as of today. The one comfort I will grant: months ago, SBI Life, HDFC Life, and ANAM paid 144 rupees a share in a pre-IPO round, so the top of the band sits only about 11% above what those institutions paid. Never decide on GMP. Do read the anchor list before the issue closes. My verdict, and I will give it as the two questions I ask before any IPO. Question 1, is there a listing gains case? For that I need demand evidence, gray market activity, anchor names, broker conviction. Today all three are blank and no Indian market has ever priced this business model before. So my call on listing gains: avoid if you want a quick flip, this is the wrong issue. Question 2, is there a long-term case? Here my call is yes, but only for a specific investor. Gaja is a 20-year franchise whose latest fund sits in the top quartile, the best quarter of comparable funds. The promoters are reinvesting the IPO money into their own funds, and the industry is compounding fast. So, apply only for the long term, with a small allocation, money you can leave untouched for 3 to 5 years or more, accepting no exit years without panic. One lot costs just under 15,000 rupees. If you check your portfolio weekly or need steady earnings, skip this one entirely. And because this is my analysis for education, not personalized advice, hold my call against the evidence, your money, your advisor, your decision. Finally, hold my verdict the way I hold it, loosely, against a written test. Here is the evidence that should change your mind, and mine, in either direction. 1. The anchor book on August 18th. Insurers and mutual funds anchoring this issue would meaningfully upgrade its quality. 2. The Fund 5 raise. Hitting the 2,500 crore target is the single biggest driver of future fees, and a weak raise breaks the assumption baked into the valuation. 3. The first quarters after the August 26th listing, watch whether reported carry starts converting into actual operating cash. Strong evidence on all three would justify more confidence than today's price deserves. Weak evidence would confirm the caution. Let me close the review. Gaja Capital offers India's first listed pure-play private equity firm, a real 20-year pedigree and a growth capital structure, but earnings whose recent surge is lumpy carry rather than recurring fees, at a price that already assumes the next fundraise succeeds. My call, held honestly: no case for listing gains. A small, patient, long-term allocation can be defensible for investors who truly understand lumpy years. Remember what this is: my analysis for education, not investment advice. Verify every number in the red herring prospectus, the final offer document, and decide with your own advisor. Now comment below with the one Gaja number you want dug deeper. It decides the next review. Then subscribe for the next live IPO review and open the full IPO reading framework in the ExamMaster app. Signing up is free.